Social media is changing really rapidly. If you are someone with no audience today, how should they start? Which platform would you start on? How would you think about that? If they were a client or if they were just like a random person who decided this is the moment, what do you think people should do today? How should they be entrepreneurial today to start something?
I think start with whatever you have access to, which is kind of what I did, right? I already knew and loved Instagram, and I basically just took the skill set, the experience, the knowledge I had as a user, as a consumer, and then I applied that to my own strategy. And I just played mad scientist. I threw so many different things at the wall. I tried everything. And so not only was I consuming what was maybe working for other people, but I also was just trying it myself and trialing it, especially for those first few clients that I had worked with that were across so many different types of industries. And so I think instead of putting the pressure on figuring out what's the platform, what's the strategy, what's the thing, is actually give yourself some wiggle room to think about where do you have access, where do you already kind of use social media or really like a certain marketing platform or already like creating a certain type of content, and how can you then use that for your own brand and your goals and kind of just experiment and tweak from there.
And like when someone's doing that, help me get like tactical. So let's say it's Instagram and you love consuming stuff on Instagram. You see other creators that you like on Instagram. Do you think that people should be just like start posting daily, start comment? Like, do you think we should be intimidated? Do you think you should emulate people? Like, what do you see working out there?
Yeah, definitely. I think the first thing I would do is I would like set the foundation. Like before we start posting, let's kind of set the foundation here. And when it comes to posting frequency, I know a lot of people say just post as many posts as you can and try to post multiple times a day. And I say post within your bandwidth because that's how you're going to get momentum and how you're actually going to be able to not just post for 30 days consistently, but actually be able to post for an entire year so you actually can get a lot of data and insights and information. So if you are a side hustler or you're a busy parent or like really take inventory of your time, can you dedicate an hour a day to social media? Can you only dedicate 30 minutes a day? And really start with that and then build from there. And so I would figure out how often can you post and then decide on where you want to start posting on a platform like Instagram. The good thing is you have lots of options. The bad thing is you do got a lots of options. So you got to kind of make some decisions there, right? I think in terms of growth, Reels is going to be the best place to get a lot of reach. So I would recommend starting with Reels and focusing all of your energy there. And then if you were going to add an extra layer on top of that, I definitely recommend stories. I know stories are not often recommended as a growth platform, but when someone comes to your profile, they might want to binge some reels, but they actually want to connect with you as a brand. And stories are a really great vessel to do that in real time. And they're probably like the least produced part of Instagram. So it's an easy thing to add on top of your routine. So those would be the two places I would focus on your content. And then once you get that down, I would recommend adding on actually lives. I think lives are one of the best ways to grow. And when I was really in my growth stage and focusing on growing my account, I went live with people that were in similar industries, similar backgrounds, similar audiences that would complement, but didn't directly do what I did. And we would just have conversations. We would just chat on these lives, and I would get hundreds of people following me just from being exposed to me from that person. So I
Mm.
think collaborative content can be really, really beneficial. I know you also can collaborate with reels and things, which I know can get a little fancy, but if you're creative, you could definitely do that as another collaborative route. But that would be really what I would focus on. And when it comes to what to post, is get clear on who you're posting to attract. What type of content are they looking for? What are the questions and struggles and thoughts and interests that they have? But then also think of your brand. What are you an expert at? What can you bring to the table? What offers are you selling? And kind of meet in the middle when you identify those two things to figure out your topic ideas. So that's kind of like a overview, getting a little bit more nitty gritty there.
Awesome. You started as a social media manager and you've turned more into a video marketing coach. Can you talk about like what are the common questions or projects that you're working on with clients? Like what do they need the most help with? Where is the market today?
Yeah, I would say it's actually mindset. That is what like 80% of the things I coach my
Wow.
clients on is that they'll come to me saying, okay, so my office doesn't look great and I need to get a new lighting and should I go film somewhere else and do I need a new phone? And I'm like, no, you just need to create video content exactly as you are. And then they're like, wait, that brings up a lot of thoughts and feelings. And we kind of have to get through that before we talk about the setup. So I find that mindset, I think the biggest thing that I see is perfectionism. And it comes from a really great point of people wanting to put their best foot forward when representing their brands. They're like, I want to make a good first impression. I want to make sales. I want to grow my account. I want to work with brands, right? And so you think I need to put out perfect content to get there. But what I
Hmm.
see is that the intention of trying to make perfect content actually leads to not taking action or kind of becoming like a robot and becoming so polished to the point where there's like no personality and you look and sound like everybody else. And so mindset is really what we work on a lot of because whether people came from corporate and think they have to be very overly professional in their content or if they were bullied as a kid, right? Like all of those things come up because when you're being visible in video content, I mean, you're literally staring right back at yourself and everything's on blast. Like you can't really hide from it. So mindset is often the biggest thing that we focus on because we can talk about sales and strategy and all these things, but if your mindset isn't there, it's going to make showing up so hard.
Yeah, that's very interesting because I have described that with what we've seen as fear of getting on camera, where like someone will be in meetings talking to you all the time, animated, excited. You're like, you're going to be great on camera, like you're going to be so good, and then you're like, all right, now here's a camera. And they're like, you're like,
Yeah.
oh no, you're going to capture what I'm saying, like you're going to record my words, like what if I misspeak or what if I? It's like, well, first of all, that's human, and secondly, like you're already engaging as a person, and it's this weird thing, right? Of like, there's something about capturing, speaking, talking, what you look like that like throws people off. And I feel like it's like for a long time, actually, people would ask me about our market, and I would be like, well, that's the interesting thing in our market is that there's always people who are afraid to get on camera or think it's going to hurt their brand more than it's going to help. And I
Yeah.
have seen a shift, definitely. Like COVID shifted things. Everyone being remote, seeing themselves all the time has seen a shift. But I find it very interesting that that's still exactly what you're seeing, and it's that attitude, mindset, like actually matter, right?
Absolutely. And I think there's so much to compare yourself to now. I think you can assume that everyone else got it figured out. Instagram invited everyone else to this class about how to be on a reel. And you
Yeah.
just missed out. You just don't have
Yeah,
something that everyone else
yeah,
has. But the
yeah.
reality is, I know when I started posting videos, I literally would like go into my closet, I'd get a button down shirt, I would like be very professional, try not to move and that's just not who I am as a person. I love a good button down, obviously, but it's just
Who
not who I am as
doesn't?
a personality, right? And eventually I slowly but surely realized when someone was sitting down to work with me, they weren't expecting that person. They were getting exactly who I should be on my videos, but it was a muscle. I had to keep throwing video content at the wall until I started to care a little bit less, but it doesn't mean I never care, right? And so I think it's just accepting that it's very human and very normal, and it just shows that we care, but it's really important to challenge ourselves and push past that discomfort because on the other side of that is really the impact that your video content can have.